Imagine a world where democracy was born, where philosophers questioned everything, where empires stretched across 3 continents, and where the very foundations of Western civilization were laid. This is the story of ancient Greece and Rome, 2 civilizations separated by geography but united in their eternal influence on our modern world. From the marble columns of the Parthenon to the mighty arches of the Colosseum, from Socrates' questions to Caesar's conquests, we're about to journey through 1,000 years that shaped humanity forever. Our story begins around 800 BCE in the rocky peninsulas and scattered islands of Greece. Unlike the vast empires of Egypt or Persia, Greece was never a unified nation. It was a collection of independent city-states called polis. Each had its own government, army, and identity. The 2 most powerful were Athens and Sparta, as different as fire and water. Athens became the birthplace of democracy around 508 BCE under Cleisthenes. For the first time in history, ordinary citizens, at least free men, could vote on laws and policies. The Athenian agora buzzed with debate, philosophy, and commerce. Meanwhile, Sparta forged warriors. From age 7, Spartan boys trained for battle, creating history's most feared military force. But Greece's true genius wasn't just political or military, it was intellectual. In Athens' streets, Socrates questioned everything, teaching that the unexamined life is not worth living. His student Plato founded the academy, and Plato's student Aristotle tutored a young prince who would change the world, Alexander. The 5th century BCE was Greece's golden age. After defeating the massive Persian Empire in the legendary battles of Marathon, Thermopylae, and Salamis, Athens entered an era of unprecedented cultural achievement under Pericles. The Greeks didn't just build temples, they built monuments to human potential. The Parthenon, dedicated to Athena, goddess of wisdom, stood as a masterpiece of architecture and mathematics. Greek theaters like Epidaurus hosted plays by Sophocles and Euripides that explored the depths of human nature, tragedies and comedies we still perform today. Greek culture celebrated the human form. Their sculptures, like the Venus de Milo and the Discobolus, captured movement and beauty with unprecedented realism. The Olympic Games, started in 776 BCE, brought city-states together in peaceful competition, honoring Zeus and human excellence. But Greece's greatest export was ideas. Greek philosophers asked fundamental questions. What is justice? What is truth? What is the good life? These questions echo through millennia. In 336 BCE, a 20-year-old king inherited the throne of Macedon, a kingdom north of Greece. His name was Alexander, and he would become the Great. Trained by Aristotle, inspired by Homer's Iliad, and commanding the finest army ever assembled, Alexander set out to conquer the known world. In just 13 years, he never lost a battle. He crushed the Persian Empire, the ancient enemy that had threatened Greece for centuries. He marched his armies through Egypt, where he was crowned pharaoh and founded Alexandria. He pushed into modern-day Afghanistan, Pakistan, and to the borders of India. But Alexander wasn't just a conqueror, he was a visionary. He spread Greek culture, language, and ideas across 3 continents, creating the Hellenistic world. Greek became the international language. Cities were founded on Greek models. Philosophy, science, and art flourished from Spain to India. Alexander died at 32 in Babylon, likely from fever or poison. His empire immediately fractured among his generals, but his legacy endured. He had fundamentally changed the world, creating the cultural bridge that Rome would later walk across. While Greece dazzled with philosophy, a small city-state in Italy was growing. According to legend, Rome was founded in 753 BCE by Romulus and Remus, twins raised by a she-wolf. Truth or myth, Rome started as a monarchy, became a republic in 509 BCE, and would eventually rule the Western world. The Roman Republic was governed by the Senate, elected magistrates, and a complex system of checks and balances. Romans valued discipline, duty, and law. Their legions, highly trained infantry units of about 5,000 men, became the most effective military force in history.
Where Greeks excelled in individual heroism, Romans mastered organization. Rome expanded relentlessly. First, they conquered Italy. Then, in the Punic Wars against Carthage, they fought the brilliant general Hannibal, who crossed the Alps with war elephants and nearly destroyed Rome. But Rome persevered, destroyed Carthage in 146 BCE, and controlled the Mediterranean, which they called Mare Nostrum, our sea. By the 1st century BCE, Rome controlled Greece, North Africa, Spain, Gaul, and parts of the Middle East. But success brought problems. Wealth inequality, political corruption, and power-hungry generals threatened the Republic itself.
Enter Julius Caesar, brilliant general, master politician, and gambler with destiny. Caesar conquered Gaul, modern France, in brutal campaigns, crossed the Rubicon River with his army in 49 BCE, defying the Senate, and sparked a civil war with his famous words, "The die is cast." Caesar won, became dictator, and began transforming Rome. He reformed the calendar. Our July is named for him. He redistributed land, expanded citizenship, and planned grand building projects. But many senators saw him as a tyrant destroying the Republic. On the Ides of March 44 BCE, Caesar was assassinated by senators, including his friend Brutus. Rome plunged into chaos again. Caesar's adopted heir, Octavian, defeated Mark Antony and Cleopatra at the Battle of Actium in 31 BCE. In 27 BCE, Octavian became Augustus, the revered one, Rome's first emperor. The Republic was dead, the Empire was born, and it would last for 5 centuries, bringing unprecedented peace, prosperity, and power. Under Augustus began the Pax Romana, Roman peace, 2 centuries of relative stability and prosperity. At its peak under Emperor Trajan in 117 CE, the empire stretched from Britain to Mesopotamia, from the Rhine to the Sahara. Over 60 million people lived under Roman law. Rome's engineering genius changed civilization. They built 50,000 miles of roads so well constructed that some still exist. Massive aqueducts carried fresh water to cities. The Colosseum hosted 50,000 spectators for gladiator games. Roman concrete enabled the Pantheon's dome, which stood as the world's largest for over 1,000 years. Roman law became the foundation of modern legal systems. Latin evolved into French, Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, and Romanian. Roman architecture, columns, arches, domes, defines Western building even today. But Rome faced constant threats. Germanic tribes pressured the northern borders. The empire grew too vast to govern effectively. Economic problems, political instability, and military challenges accumulated. In 285 CE, Emperor Diocletian split the empire into East and West. The Western Empire would fall in 476 CE to Germanic invasions. The Eastern Empire, Byzantium, survived until 1453.
Ancient Greece and Rome, 2 civilizations that rose, conquered, and fell, yet never truly died. When you vote in an election, you're exercising Greek democracy. When you enter a courthouse, you're walking into Roman law. When you read philosophy, visit a museum, or admire a government building with columns, you're experiencing their legacy. The Greeks taught us to question, to think critically, to pursue excellence, and to celebrate human potential. The Romans taught us to organize, to build systems that endure, to spread culture across borders, and to create order from chaos. Their stories of heroes and tyrants, wisdom and war, triumph and tragedy remain our stories. Their questions are our questions. Their struggles are our struggles. They remind us that civilizations rise not just through military might, but through ideas, institutions, and the courage to build something greater than ourselves. Ancient Greece and Rome didn't just shape history. They became the foundation upon which Western civilization was built, a foundation we still stand on today.